Welcome back to Freezing Anime Review Part 7. This one was discussing the last two episodes of the series, the 11th Nova Clash, along with the OVAs Season 2 had, and I'm also going to discuss the first arc that came right where the anime left off. Now, this two-parter, believe it or not, covers, get this, it covers 11 chapters. A two-parter covering 11 chapters, which that's kind of quick. But given the fact there's lots of action in this arc, well, there's that. At least there's not a subplot of, well, Katsuma and Stylizer basically being, well, looks like they're going to break up, but thank God that's not here. The 11th Nova Clash picks up exactly where the E-Pender Rebellion left off, where Amelia arrives at Scarlet Hera's lab and sees a bunch of Marie Lancelot clones. And apparently her stigmata apparently wakes him up and has her, and then basically thinks of waking him up. Apparently this transforms into an artificial Nova, which Mark Stevens himself basically shocked the fact to see this. He's in committed the situation for about 5 minutes, and then Katsuma's grandfather shows up. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm putting an end to this. Cuff him. He's under arrest for crimes against humanity." And he picks up. That's not. It's just basically. That's basically abridging what he says. Basically, yeah, crimes against humanity and the fact all the atrocities he's committed here. And he says the reason why he's here is because Howard L. Bridget asked him. Yes, they hint at this in the mangas too, that these two know each other. So he takes him in a situation, sends out all the Pandora, so they got this artificial Nova. Scarlet Hera herself basically is knocked unconscious this whole thing. Now, one thing I forgot to mention last video is that when Clifton fought Rinna, she chopped off her arms in the previous arc. She didn't do that here. Nope, no chopping of arms here. As a matter of fact, her arms are perfectly fine. Good for what the story happens next. Especially with Salazar, where she goes freaking nuts when she's near the Nova. She ends up nearly trying to kill the other Pandoras. Kind of what happened during the last clash, but at least this time, it's thanks to Clifton's limiter tells Katsuma, you have to go inside her mind. And he does. Brenda goes there too, because she cares about her. She's basically a close friend. Even though she's a love rival, she considers her a close friend. And they help her out of her stoop that she's in. Also, and I didn't realize this until because I kind of forgot this happened. Apparently, Lewis and Holly are at this particular thing. Yeah, we'll take on this particular Nova. Clifton herself realizes though she needs to protect her friends, so she basically sacrificed herself to allow Millie to be cured of her Nova stuff that turns her back to normal, freeing her of the drug. Yes, Clifton dies, and she stays dead. Though, basically, her death has some consequences the very next arc of the series. The only appearance she makes in the series, for what I've read, I haven't got this far yet in the manga, she does make an appearance in the current arc of the series as an illusion. But yeah, she is dead. She remains dead. She does not get resurrected. That's the thing when it comes to manga a lot of the time. Unless there's something particularly that needs to be there for this character, a lot of the time in manga, whenever a character dies, they stay dead. Yeah, and she stays dead. And I got hand to this. Despite the fact they're adapting 11 chapters, they do a really good job with pacing this one. It's very well paced. Despite the fact, yes, they're adapting roughly 11 chapters, roughly 2 episodes, but they do it very well from what I can tell. I mean, yes, they did change what happened with Rinna, but it was good for what they did for the anime. I think Cliff that was handled really well. And it seems as though they also were starting to adapt the very next arc of this series, which is the Student President Duel arc. Also, Andre himself, basically, he got blinded by what happened in pretty much this arc along the last one. So, Elizabeth had to retire from the academy, and she says she won't accept any Eliminator except Andre. Yeah, and the thing with her and Andre is, it's very heavily hinted at that she's in love with Andre. Andre basically, yeah, it's easily to tell he's in love with her because of the fact he keeps seeing her naked. Yeah, he's probably seen her more times naked than almost anybody else. And it's never explained in the series of why she swims in nude for. They call her nudist in the OVAs. I'll get to those. And with her leaving and the new leader, it's kind of implied that Salazar basically takes up Elizabeth's place, and Clifton, as a spirit, visits her VP, who she hands off her ribbon to, and she's later seen with it in her hair, and she's got a very different attitude. And as in the case of the Pandora project, it's officially shut down. Yep, it is shut down. I'm kind of glad they actually threw that in there, because the whole thing of the thing shutting down, Elizabeth leaving, and they're implying they're going to basically have a new president. I'm kind of glad they had this here. It's kind of thinking, though, that they're going to say something more, but this is the end of the series with episode 24. That's what it seems, though, to me. And in case you're curious, though, what happens in that particular arc, we have Julia, who in the anime, they have her have a lesbian tendency. She's not like this in the manga. She, of course, fights another woman for dueling over the presidency, and she wins. She wins, becomes new student council president, and she says that Clifton was very tolerant of you. She says, I'll be less tolerant with you and a little more stricter. And that's literally all that happens. Now, also, Rena, in that part of the manga, she's still not, her arms not recovered, but later on her arms are back. And the manga does not give an explanation of how in the world her arms are back, but yeah, her arms are fine. Yeah, they do show us when they do the duel. And, well, that's all literally happened. And the thing with the student president duel arc, the student arc, with this one, how to put this? With this is the end of part 1. Are in fact the end of the manga. Now, with technically talking about this particular arc, I talk about really quick. Basically, what I described in the arc basically happened, in a way. Yep. Salazar, they all thing in the arc where very people turn down, like VP turns it down, very people turn it down. Eventually, they have the duel and they have the winner because the VP was like too stricken over the president. Yeah. That's all literally happens. Not a lot of stuff happens in this Two Presidents arc. This Presidency Duel arc. Now, in case you're curious, though, like, how many more arcs left are there of the series? Since I've now talked about the Two Presidency Duel arc, there's roughly 5 left. The arcs left to talk are Valkyrie Introduction, which I'm almost done with this one. And it's 12th of the class, which is longer than the last one. Last one was basically, 11th was 11 chapters. 12th Nova Clash is like 36 chapters. It's really long. Busters is like 32. Yeah, 32. 13 Nova Clash is 27. The current arc is about 24 chapters. I will discuss these 5 arcs in later videos, but discuss the OVAs. And these are even weirder than the last ones. And I'll focus on different characters. First one is Salazar. Yep, Salazar. Where you have it where the Pandoras are all taking turns filling up her body and groping her where she's completely naked and have these experiment devices on her, just basically for basically body data transference. That's literally all this is. Katsuma is in this arc briefly at the end, and that's it. That's all that happens in this one. He's basically also not in the next 2. The next one is simply put where you have Scarlet O'Hara gives, I think it's Charles. Yes, Charles, the daughter of Mark Stevens, and this is implied to take place before Pandora Rebellion. Probably before what happened there. No, these things are not canon. So, basically gives a racket that's literally a breast enhancer. Yes. Seriously, it makes the breast bigger. So, she's got big breasts now, and all the girls tried it except for Salazar. Probably because the breasts are already big anyways. And Scarlett's like, really? It's just experimental. But she is surprised to see Salazar not get a chance to, probably because the breasts are big anyways. Yep. Next one is Leah Monkberg. I tried watching this on the actual website I was watching it on, and they had the OVA from the previous season on. I don't know why, but so I eventually found it. And what this one is simply that there are roughly 4 characters in this one. You have Julia herself, Salazar, Rena, and you have Cassie in Illusion. Yes, they asked about Kathy. They call her Kathy here. This math actually is called Cassie. I'm not really sure why they subbed to this one. Yeah, the thing about these OVAs, they were never dubbed. Nope, never were. Don't know why though. First season's OVAs were dubbed, but not these. Nope, not these for some reason. And she gives her, because she mentions she want to be a novelist, so she gives her fanfic. A fanfic of a lesbian version of Cinderella, where Cassie is where she's Cinderella and she's going to the ball, and her sisters basically are couple of the Pandoras, where one basically gropes her breast, the other one basically pulls up her skirt, and then you have Julia shows up as the fairy godmother, just as a Sailor Scout, presumably Sailor Mars, and then she proceeds to jump on top of her, and that's where the thing ends. And then Salazar is like, this is a wonderful lesbian epic. And basically Rena and Julia are basically shocked to hear that. And Salazar's embarrassed by it. And that's all that happens in this OVA. This one's really short. Like, it's shorter than the first two. This one's roughly about 2 minutes. It's the shortest of all the OVA. Holly Rose. This one's implied to take place like during the little slip they had during the siblings arc. We have Lewis falling off, and you having where Katsuma saves him, and of course, we have Lewis and Katsuma basically in cold. So Salazar and Holly come with the best way possible to warm them up. Take off their tops and rub their chest against them. Okay. Yep, and that's all literally this was, though Lewis ends up groping Holly. Salazar basically just shoves her chest into Katsuma's face, and that's it. That's all that happens now. Roxanne. I don't remember with this one. Let me look it up on here. Because this was the 5th OVA. I kind of forgot what happened this one. Because I watched it, even though I watched it today. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, this one's been really put just the various girls trying to get baptized by Katsuma. Yeah, basically like, oh, a baptism. Yeah, it doesn't really go anywhere. It just basically because, Salazar's not going through it, so it basically shows off, and everyone in their underwear, and yeah. Looking up, like, yeah, this one's barely noticeable of all these OVAs. It's the weakest one of all of them. March through this is all the last of the OVAs for the last one for all of them, and that's the last thing for freezing anime to talk about. This particular one is simply all the Pandoras going through the snow wearing their PE uniforms, and then apparently all going crazy by stripping naked, and just apparently the winds in Alaska makes them all insane. Even the instructor goes nude. I'm like, okay. And Elizabeth is accused of being a nudist because she kind of is. And yeah, Katsuma himself, I don't think he's in this one at all. No, not I can think of. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that Katsuma's not in a lot of these OVAs. He's absent. In the first set of OVAs, he was there for all of them. This one, he's there for basically half of them, which is kind of weird. And he's supposed to be the main character of the series. Yep. But not much else to say about the OVAs because that was the last thing the series produced. And I keep thinking, though, okay, you dubbed the OVAs for the first season, but not the second one? That makes no sense at all. But there's not much else to talk about when it comes to freezing anime. Now, I do have a couple series coming up soon that I'm doing next. Basically, one of them is going to be, I'm going to read the stuff first before I do the actual stuff. One of them is Dr. Stone. Yes, I'm actually going to read the manga and then watch the anime. I'm also going to come up doing the series known as like that was next to me. It's Arena of the Scarlet Ammo. Yep, I'm going to be discussing this. And the other one I'm talking about along with these two is going to be later on. Is going to be Serve for the End. That's going to be the next one I do after these two. Now, in the case of basically when I'm going to get to that one, I'm probably going to get to Dr. Stone first before I get to that one. It's just possible because basically how far I'm reading this stuff. But it's possible Dr. Stone might get there first. But who knows? But for now, anyways, basically, I'll still be discussing Freezing, mostly the manga. And I'm actually almost done with the current arc I'm working on, which is Valkyrie Introduction. But all but the last 4 chapters. So I'll probably reread those pretty soon, and then I'll review it. Yeah, it's not. There's no action in this particular. It's mostly like introduction of new characters per se, and just sort of part 2 of the manga. Yep. So that's it for single review. My next video we do today is review the 3rd episode of Usagi-chan Wants to Hang Out. Okay? Peace in the next video. Bye.